Hello. The biggest news item this week, a Portland unicorn. We have very few of those, but a Portland unicorn named after a whale, so maybe it's like a narwhal, acquired a New York-based company this week. That's right. Orca Security acquired a company called Opus for agentic AI features that the company will bring to the Orca Security world. If you haven't heard of Orca Security, they relocated to Portland from the Bay Area in the midst of the pandemic. I believe it was late 2021. They've kept a fairly low profile. They do cloud native application protection. They do a cloud-native application protection platform. I can now see why they always use the acronym for it, CNAP. They're a CNAP company. Again, a unicorn. I think they're worth in the neighborhood of $2 billion or so the last time they had a valuation posted. The terms of the deal were not disclosed, but Opus, I think it raised about $10 million. Anyway, it's usually Portland companies that are getting acquired. This time, it was a Portland company doing the acquiring. So congrats to Orca Security on the acquisition of Opus. I look forward to seeing more from you in 2025. So Orca was the big news, but the big week-long news was, of course, Portland Startup Week 2025. I think all told, there wound up being about 80 events, 80 plus. How many events have you gone to during Portland Startup Week? If you're listening to this early on Friday, some are still going, including the closing party, which is happening Friday afternoon. I plan to be there, so maybe if you swing by that closing party, we'll run into one another. I originally helped start Portland Startup Week way back in the day, but I had literally nothing to do with this. This was all Josh Carter and a team of folks that were working with him to bring Portland Startup Week to fruition again, bring it out of the so-called mothballs. We probably haven't done a Portland Startup Week since 2019, so it's been 5 or 6 years since we've done it. And with more than 80 events, it sounds like it was a pretty successful reboot. Please comment below, let people know who you met, how many events you went to, what you thought of Portland Startup Week. Love to hear what you thought. And I will get more news coming out of Portland Startup Week as people start to reflect on what it was like, what they enjoyed, what they learned, who they met, all the fun things that Portland Startup Week is designed to do. So more on Portland Startup Week later. Again, if you're listening to this early enough on Friday, please show up to the closing party. Let's make it a big blowout at Wonderlove, and it would be good to see you there. Please say hi. Again, I look like this, and on the podcast, I look like this. So I hope to see you there, and I hope you had a very, very good Portland Startup Week 2025. Now, as part of Portland Startup Week, I had the opportunity to work on a specific event because it happened to fall on the second Tuesday of the month. And on the second Tuesday of the month, Pi and a lot of our friends always try and do an event. This time around, we were doing another series of fireside chats. This time we were focused on celebrating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander folks because it's AANHPI Heritage Month. And so we wanted to bring a bunch of folks from various programs who are alums, who are community leaders. So we wanted to take the opportunity to check in with them, see what they were up to. Our host was Julia Nero. She did an amazing job of kind of drawing out really important conversations and kind of tying a thread through all of the conversations. It was just a really, really good event. And I'm not just saying that because I was behind the scenes. It was the people. The people who participated made the event great. The people who showed up made the event great. Thank you so much to Nai Zhao for bringing Charcuterie Me, for everybody that was there. All in all, just a wonderful evening. I think we also made some connections between speakers who maybe didn't know each other or who hadn't had the chance to hang out with one another. So I was just really, really humbled and pleased by the way that one turned out. I would love to see you at a future event if you didn't get the chance to make it. And if you would like to hear the conversations, of course, we recorded them for you. Now, my camera freaked out a little bit at the beginning. I was running all the camera stuff and audio stuff. The audio is great throughout. So the camera flickers a few spots here and there at the beginning. Then it straightens out. I don't know what was going on, but in any case, if you just listen to it, the audio is great throughout. So I will try and do a better job next time. I had one job, and I screwed it up. But the audio is there. So captured the event. Please take the opportunity to watch that. And again, if you're interested in joining us next second Tuesday, which will be the second Tuesday of June, that of course is Pride Month. So we will focus on founders who may identify as LGBTQIA plus and have conversations with them in our little fireside chat format. And our host for that one will be Carmen Olson, who is on the Built Oregon board. So already looking forward to that one. And then, of course, July 8th is the big cookout. So even I would love to see you in June, but please save time for the July 8th, second Tuesday of July. Please save time for that get together. It's the big Portland Startup Community Cookout, and we just want to make it a big blowout. So it would be great to see you there. Speaking of community, one of our newest community hubs is actually one of our oldest community hubs. That's right, NedSpace, which has been the longest running startup and co-working space in Portland. It's been doing its thing for a long time, 16 years, 17 years, something like that. But it's changed ownership a couple times. And the new owner, Faris Mubarak, was featured in the Portland Business Journal this week, talking about NedSpace, what they're trying to do, the kind of community they're bringing together. I highly encourage you to read the story and get Faris's perspective on the potential of the NedSpace community and see if perhaps that community is something that would be attractive to you, because it's not the typical like tech startup-y co-working space thing. This community tends to attract more creative pursuits of all different types. So if you've been looking for people who are running agencies, other creative pursuits that are your people and you want to spend time with and potentially collaborate with or potentially work together to deliver services to someone else, I highly recommend you check out NedSpace. They did a number of things during Startup Week. I hope you got the chance to go to at least one or two of their events. They opened up their doors and had a town hall and had all kinds of things available to folks. So love what Faris is doing there. We go back and forth via DM and he's like, I love doing this stuff, but it's so draining and there's so much to do. So please, if you can, support the folks at NedSpace, attend their events. It looks like a place for you. Please sign up to be a member of NedSpace. And I continue to encourage Faris to do all of the great work and bringing that community together and really doing the job of bridging multiple communities and ensuring that everybody in the broader community is getting connected as they should be. You know how I always talk about that I used to love when people would blog all the time? Like it used to be developers would write a lot about what they were doing, or people building companies would write posts about where they were in their journey. That's kind of fallen by the wayside, I think partly because readership has fallen by the wayside, but there's still a few people who are out there who blog on a consistent basis. And one person who's been doing a consistent job of that here recently is Mike Ulan from Paxton. Well, he was from Paxton. So Paxton AI in the legal space, award-winning, well-recognized, building an amazing startup. Mike was down in Bend, still is down in Bend, but he's stepping aside. He was the founding CTO of Paxton, and he's stepping aside to think about maybe doing other things. Now, its previous startup was an AI startup. Paxton was an AI startup. I would venture a guess that Mike's next pursuit will also be an AI startup, but we just don't know what it is yet. So I will link up the post so you can get the details on what Mike has accomplished before, what he did at Paxton, why he's moving on, what the next thing might be. But I'm hopeful that Mike continues to blog the whole time so we get this insight into his journey, not only as the former CTO of Paxton, but of course in building this new venture. If you are a startup watching this Friday the 16th, Saturday the 17th, or Sunday, May 18th, May 19th is the due date for the Columbia River Pitch event. So if you're located in Multnomah County or across the river in Vancouver in Clark County, and you have a startup you would like to pitch, potentially to get a big check and accolades and exposure and all those fun things, you got to get your application in. Ty Oregon needs your application to select the people who are going to be on stage, and Monday is the last day to get it in. So please, if you've got a startup and you're in Multnomah County or Clark County, get that application submitted. Stop procrastinating. Put your name in the hat, and we'll look forward to seeing your startup on stage at Columbia River Pitch. Speaking of going across the river, Demolicious, which has been a long time quick pitch event here in Portland. It occurs on a monthly basis. People get up on stage. They do a 3-minute pitch. The audience votes. At the end of the event, somebody wins the Demolicious belt. The next month, that winner comes back to defend their title against a whole new list of startups who are getting on stage to pitch. That's the Demolicious vibe, but it's been happening in Portland recently. Now, Demolicious is going to Seattle. So if you're in Seattle and you're curious about the Demolicious format, or if you're in Portland and you want to travel up to Seattle to see what the pitches are like up there in a different startup community, Demolicious is going to Seattle in July, I believe, as part of probably Seattle Startup Week. If I'm remembering correctly, there's a lot of Startup Week-y stuff going on. It might be Seattle Tech Week. I think it might be. Maybe it's Seattle Tech Week. Anyway, it's a week in Seattle. Demolicious will be up there. They'll be doing their thing. They'll have people from Seattle pitching. There may be people from Portland pitching. I don't know. You're going to have to show up and find out. But I can guarantee you this. Demolicious in Seattle will be a series of quick 3-minute pitches by the competing startups. The crowd will get to vote at the end of all the pitches, and somebody will walk away with the Seattle Demolicious belt. And who knows, it may be a whole new special belt just because it's Seattle, and that's a whole new thing. As I said, I can't tell you all the details. You're just going to have to show up. I will link up the page that has all the details, the meetup page, so that you get all the information. And I think you have to register via Luma too. But anyway, I'll get you the details. You'll want to get up to Seattle in July for the Tech Week or Startup Week or whatever the week is that I'm forgetting. But you'll definitely want to attend Demolicious while you're up there. Okay, if you've stayed here this long, first of all, thank you. I always appreciate folks who take the time to listen to me babble about all the things that have happened in the Portland startup community during the previous week. I hope you find it helpful and valuable. But I also have something new that I want to share with you. And since you've waited through this whole thing, I think might be something that would be interesting to you. A lot of folks have asked me to get back into long format interviews with folks. I've done that. I have a new podcast called The Long Con, and I've released the first official episode chatting with Juan Barraza. We sit there and chat for about an hour, talking about all the things that we wanted to talk about community, about Latino founders, about Juan's journey as a founder and a community organizer. So I hope you find it interesting. I find Juan exceedingly interesting, and I'm really thankful that he was able to carve out the time to sit down with me. I'm already interviewing other people for the Long Con. I'll probably drop episodes every couple weeks or so. I'm getting more organized and getting stuff figured out. But if you're still here, if you're the one person who's still here, I would really appreciate your feedback on the Long Con and seeing if it's serving a need, if it's delivering value to you, if it's something interesting that you'd like me to keep doing. Again, I'm going to try it. We'll see if it works. I'm hoping it does. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's kind of challenging to manage people's schedules and that stuff, but the conversations have just been amazing so far. So I'm really looking forward to getting into more of those conversations, and I hope you will stick along with me for that ride as well, just like you've stuck through this entire episode of me babbling about Portland startups. All right. So that's it. Hope you're hanging in there. Hope you're doing well. Hope you survived Portland Startup Week with very few scratches and bruises, and hopefully a whole lot more energy until we get the chance to chat again. Please keep up the good work.